I feel like getting high. Meet me on the corner. No, I won't be long yet. On the other side.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Psycho Clown World. Today, Figs and I are doing a dive into the Kolbrin Bible. This is ancient manuscripts from before the flood. It consists of Egyptian information, Phoenician, I believe, and also from Great Britain. And now, remember, this is from before the flood. This is like super old. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. There are some discrepancies between this book and the Holy Bible, but there's a lot of similarities in there, which is what we know the Holy Bible is. There's a lot of similarities because they decided to pick and choose what they were going to use in that Bible. But in this, we're actually going to go over a little audio. Okay, the Kolbrin Bible, you can see here, the Kolbrin Bible is not a biblical book, but is one of the few manuscripts about the time preceding the flood. There are some differences between the biblical account and the Kolbrin, but there are also many interesting converging points. Okay. Now here's a little part from it right here. I'm going to go ahead and read that to you. And it says, "The barbarians are still children, and these things do not easily come within their understanding. Because of this, it may be best if they were taught by simple tales like children, and so brought into the light gradually. A belief in the Supreme Spirit is of no great importance. An inquiry into his nature by the ignorant is purposeless foolishness. It is of much more importance to men that they believe in their own souls. Belief in a God of any sort without belief in the immortality of man and his godlikeness serves no end. If a God existed without man deriving any benefit from his existence, it would be better for man to ignore him. This, however, is not the case. Man seeks unity and communion with the Supreme Spirit only for his own benefit. Man has a destiny founded in something greater than himself, and hence his need for that something." Pretty wild stuff. Now, the person that kind of got me into this obviously was Figs, and this is the gentleman we're actually going to be taking a little listen to. I'm going to play one small part for you guys, so you guys can kind of hear just a little snippet. He's got a very good voice. He's got a pleasant voice, which is nice, but got a little something else to share with everybody that Figs has actually set up. But we're going to let her tell you. Hold on just a moment. Let's get her on the line. Okay, brothers and sisters, boys and goyles, we've got Figs on the line with us. She just joined us. How you doing, Sissy?
Pretty good. Hi, everybody.
Now, this is Man of Letters. Now, go on ahead, Figs. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Man of Letters.
Well, I get pretty excited. I absolutely love his voice. I think everybody should check him out. His energy is so fantastic.
He's really mellow and like laid back.
Everything about him is just absolutely fantastic. He should be far more popular than he is. I just everything he does, I think, he does a really great job. And then he happened to be the one that I found because I like reading and I like having someone read while I read along. It's just how I check for, I don't know, it processes better. So I found this guy to read me the Kolbrin. And there's nobody that I have found that does it better.
Yeah, his voice is very nice to listen to. It's not one of those where it's like grandpa reading to you and you're going to fall asleep within like 6 or 7 verses. Like, you could actually listen to the guy. It's not one of those annoying. He's got a really good voice. I'm actually going to play some of that for you here, but I'm actually kind of excited about something else. What did you do, Figs?
I have no idea what you're talking about. What did
Oh,
I do?
yes, you do. Don't you give me that crap.
Oh, you mean reaching out to him?
And?
Well, yeah, I reached out to him and I was asking him if he would do interviews, and he said yes. So I'm hoping that we can arrange something where you talk to him, and then maybe
No. We.
Well, I mean, depending on, what he wants to talk about or how you guys want to do the interview, I'd love to join. If for nothing than to pat his ego.
Shit, love to join. I'm gonna want you there because you know more about the Kolbrin than I do. So yeah, you're gonna be one of the key interviewers. So you better have some questions ready.
See, that's what I think is really fantastic about this guy too, is he doesn't really stick to just one genre. He's all over the board with the different spiritual practices and books that he brings to the table. Just a very open-minded, chill person from what I've seen on his page. Fantastic.
Nice. So yeah, I bet. So if we can actually get an interview in with him, that would be great. I've actually. Do you know who Roderick Martin is?
Not a clue.
Okay, he has a YouTube channel called Why the Big Secret, and
Okay.
he's directly linked with Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge.
Okay.
Twice I've sent him different stuff on the live. I've caught him on a live chat, and I've sent him emails, and he said straight out and open air, Jacob, I will be calling you. We will be doing an interview. Now,
Nice.
yeah, so I'm still waiting for that one to happen. So if we can manage to get these things going, that'll be stinking rocking awesome. So
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
yeah, because with him with Why the Big Secrets, it's along aliens, UFOs. Why are they covering stuff up? All
Oh,
this.
right up your alley.
Yeah, so yeah, right there. Well, this is kind of up my alley too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have multiple alleys that I go down occasionally.
Right.
And this one now that I started listening, there's some really deep stuff into it. It's like we were saying at the beginning of the first book. It's talking about how children of the future.
Oh, yeah.
If you get to a point where you're reading this and you don't need it, then great, we've done our job. If not, then we failed you. And it's like, wait, what? It's crazy. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but
I think it's such a deep book. It's by far, it's my favorite book. I go on and on and on about it. Everybody knows my poor husband. It's always, hey, Kolbrin says, hey, Kolbrin.
Coldness. So you're turning into a Bible thumper, but just a different Bible.
Not even a bio. I just think it's so fascinating. And then there's the stuff that they talk about in there that you can go back and find in history. And and it's so, and if you're into any kind of Celtic, Egyptian, Viking stuff like that, I mean, this all addressed in this book. The pics, I mean, they're all in there. And so it's, I don't know, it's just a fantastic read. I mean, there's even like King Arthur vibes in there at one point. No crap, right? So it's got all of this mingle. I can't go on enough about it.
Nice. So we're going to get to this part here in just a moment. There's something else I wanted to actually address, believe it or not. Hold on a second, folks. Be right back. All right. Now, before we get back to this, and we're going to listen to a little part of the Kolbrin Bible Part 2, and it's called the Book of Gleanings, and it's about the voice of God. And we're going to play a little bit of that here in a minute. There's something I want to talk about really quick. Something that's really hitting a lot of news on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. People are talking about the Euphrates River. It's drying up. It's a huge ordeal. I mean, you almost can't go anywhere without hearing about the Euphrates River, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all over.
Yeah. The Euphrates River is drying up. Well, hello, folks. So is the Hoover Dam. Lake Mead, so is Mississippi. In fact, the Mississippi River is down to 45% of its usual traffic because it's drying up too. But just to go back to the Bible, and we're going to talk about the Euphrates River just for a second. And this is where, I like to put things for people, because not everybody has eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay? The part in Revelations where it talks about the Euphrates River, it talks about the sixth angel pouring out his bowl and the Euphrates River drying up, right? Are you familiar with that part of Revelations?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Isn't this a bowl and it's pouring out its substance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Could
Concrete?
be.
Now, isn't that the stuff that's used to build a dam?
Yeah.
And then behind that being a bowl containing water, causing it to dry up. Because think about it, the water levels was all the way up here, but now they got a dam here, so now the water level's way down here.
Yep.
Folks, that's what's going on.
Yeah. If you track it down,
the sixth angel has been pouring out its substance and creating dams and making the Euphrates River go dry. Look at Turkey. Turkey has all the places up above Iraq. Turkey is the biggest one. They've been putting in dam after dam after dam trying to get energy from the water and causing the Euphrates River to go dry.
Yeah, most of the water in California is owned by the Saudis. If
Yeah,
you go
so
if
it's
you go down this rabbit hole, you'll be appalled at how much water usage that they have sold their countries and we're now hurting to make sure that those countries are able to have water to grow their product that isn't even sold in this country.
oh yeah. So, folks, this was kind of foretold and people know about it. But did you know that it's because of this particular reason? I'm willing to say probably not.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great.
yeah, I mean it's a little put together. I mean, everybody keeps going, "Oh, the Euphrates is drying up," blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, why is it drying up? What does it say in it? Okay, the sixth angel is going to pour out its substance and dry up the river. Okay, well, what could you do to dry up a river? You start going up, and you start literally go where the river comes from, and you'll start seeing dam after dam after dam after dam, and it's like, not to mention all your other agricultures, they're pulling water from it to, for their crops upriver. But when you go up far enough, especially in Turkey, you start seeing all these dams being created that's making it go dry. Yeah, just a little
Yeah.
something for y'all. So, was it foretold on? Sure, but it's been going on for a long time. People just weren't paying attention to it until now. Why? Because it's getting so dry that they have found cave entrances in the Euphrates River. And in some of these cave entrances, they've been hearing noises coming out of it. Like, basically the four angels of death or whatever, some, part of the biblical prophecies, and with that following plagues and this and that and whatever. But I just wanted to share that with y'all for a moment. Okay, folks, so I'm going to play a little snippet from the voice of God, Kolbrin Bible, The Gleanings. Here we go. Now, this is from the man of letters, so you're going to hear his voice. Give this a listen for a few minutes.
This is modernized, revised version of
Can
a
you hear it,
difficult
Figs?
to understand original
Yeah,
and
it's kind of echoey, but
interpolated material.
Is that better?
The voice of God came out of the heavens unto his servants.
no, kind of sounds awful.
But in these days
Oh.
it has come to certain of his devoted ones who heard it within the cavern of visions. Afterwards each wrote it down according to his own hearing, and lo, when they came together, it was seen that each had recorded the same words. Thus the things which were heard by the three and set down by them in writing, all being
Better.
like, are things recorded forever. I am the voice of God, who is the God of all men and ruler of all hearts. I have many aspects and come differently to all men. I am the God of many faces. To you, my servants, I give these words, that they may be carried to all men. Obey my commands, and I will be your God. I will enlighten and instruct you, guiding you along the way. I desire your love and loyalty and your adherence to my plans.
Okay. Now I'm going to hit pause there for a second. And I'm going to tell you where there's a little thing in there I have a little issue with. One is calling us his servants.
Okay.
One. Two, saying, obey my commands. Do what you're told, and I'll be your God. And that sounds exactly like the Bible. So, but we also know this is a compression of English, Egyptian, and Phoenician. So
This is older. This is much older than any Bible. If their dating is correct, okay, which we have no way to know. Do you know what I mean? Really, in reality, we have no on this stuff is actually correct because nobody's going to ever tell us the truth. But if their dating is correct, that this is 3,000 years before any let's say the Aleppo Codex, it's got 1,500 years on that. So this would be much older than what you're. So I think it's very clever and deceptive to put the word Bible on this book because I don't believe that it's a Bible at all.
Well, at the same time, though, is it still an alien being who's saying, listen, my servants, if you obey my commands, I will be your God?
And well, to a
It still
degree,
has that. Has that kind of vibe.
Yeah, but I also think that you have to read the book to understand what is being said when that's being said. Um, my interpretation, I'll give a quick breakdown. If we ever want to try to go into it more, we can. But my interpretation of do as I say and I will be your God comes from, in this book, they will explain that God is part of you. Okay. You are here with a part of God in you. However, you are also an individual. So there's a duality to you. You're an individual human being that he's let you be, the
Right.
soul, the
He's
spark.
experiencing life through us, basically living vicariously through us.
Not even living vicariously through us. He's
He's experiencing himself
passing.
through the eyes of multiple different views.
Actually, no, it's him being a passenger to be with you and help you through, that you have to trust him and listen to him, because to journey through what we're journeying through now to achieve our true greatness, we need to listen, because he created us for a purpose, is what
Right.
is said. So it's not, again, this is just my interpretation of the book as you go on, and it's very hard for me to condense it down into just you're you, but you're also have a part of God in you that is, it's like having two beings almost inside of one body,
Right. All right.
but it's all one.
Now we're going to continue. That was just, and honestly, just that one part there is the only one the only part so far that's kind of made me go,
Yeah,
are we
well,
dealing with an extraterrestrial being that's saying this, but at the same time, could it
it
be
did
Enki, a good guy?
I
Do you know
agree.
what I'm saying?
When I first started, it rubbed me the wrong way too. But as you continue on, that gets explained in a way that I've never heard it explained before.
Oh yeah, we're about to get into more of the meat and potatoes where when he starts talking about, he's basically he's narrating the words of this God speaking, and from a perspective of being a spiritual God, you can actually see his point when he's telling you about. We'll get into it. We'll hang on. Let's just hit play.
But I do not desire your servility. I am not your God, but your commander as well, and so I expect obedience and discipline, as befits those who prepare for harsh and grim battles such as those which lie ahead. My desire is for love rather than futile sacrifices of burnt offerings. But it should not be a passive love, but one expressing service in my cause. A certain knowledge of right and wrong, with free choice of the former, is of.
So he's saying, I don't need burnt offerings. I don't need this crap. But he's still saying he's your commander, and he's wanting disobedience or obedience and discipline. Which
Right.
honestly, we should be self-disciplined, and we should obey ourselves. So, like I was saying, this first part is kind of going, but just a minute, he gets more into it where it's like, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from a little bit. All right,
Greater value in
Like a question.
this ritual.
what's that?
I was going to say, my question for you is, when you hear that part about not needing feudal sacrifices and burnt offerings and blood and stuff like that, does that not like strike you to your core?
Yeah,
Because
it did.
my
Because when I
God,
heard that, I was like, wow.
right? My God, the God in my heart, what I feel like would not want us to hurt anything, respect our life.
Or
So
anyone.
God, my God, described to me, and not just like this vengeful bow and cower that they teach to us now, is it's very I love that part. Okay,
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. That definitely. When I heard that, I was like, okay, he's got my attention in a positive way. But it was kind of the back and forth where it's like, kind of feels like this, but it's like, wait a minute, he's kind of. So it kind of, you hear the one part, but then he throws it off with a little bit like, but wait a minute, I don't need all of these things, and it's like, okay, but at the same time, it's still okay. I think this could be a supreme extraterrestrial, highly advanced, knowledgeable, powerful being. So, but let's get into it a little more.
Worship. I derive no pleasure from the wasteful shedding of blood from bulls and lambs. I gain nothing from the fat of sheep and the flesh of goats. I am the creator of all. So what can men give that would increase my greatness?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that one phrase right there. What could man possibly give me that could exceed my greatness?
And every priest in the world is out of a job.
Exactly. Like
Just one
literally,
sentence.
literally nothing. You could give me nothing. If I'm the creator of, you can't give me anything to benefit me. I created all of this stuff. What are you going to give me? It's
Right?
like, come on. So that one phrase right there, it made me go, okay, you've got my undivided attention now. So now let's just say, for argument's sake, that this is Enki speaking. Let's just say, for argument's sake, there's nothing we could give, and Enki, by the way, folks, for those of you who are not aware, Enki is an Anunnaki alien being, what we would consider to be alien being. He's an extraterrestrial being from the stars from the planet of Nibiru. Anyone from an extraterrestrial place from here that has highly advanced technology, not just, like mechanical stuff, technology, but internal knowledge of their personal abilities and using certain symbols and scepters and just the knowing of how to do these things, basically like superpowers, basically. We have nothing for them that we could give them that would make them greater or better or anything. Nothing. So
And
I can see this possibly being Enki speaking to the people. There's nothing you could give me. I mean, now I'm not saying it is, because Enki didn't create everything, but from that position of there's nothing you could give me to make me any greater. Nothing.
well, see that, like this, the god that if you were to put it in Sumerian Anunnaki terms, the god that they would be talking about at the moment would be Anu.
Well, no, but
The
Anu,
creator.
yeah, but Anu is actually a dick, and so is Enlil.
Well,
But
some of them, some of the.
Go ahead.
I was going to say some translations, yes. I mean, I've been listening to. He was kind of an impartial god, but I think personally, I still think that you're looking small beans when you're looking at the Anunnaki. I think that they're maybe higher intelligent beings, but I don't think that they're even remotely close to being the creator spoken about here. That's
for sure.
my personal
I'm using that in reference because most people are very familiar with the Anunnaki, but even the Anunnaki had creators and they obey the creator of the ones. And so this could be the beings that created the Anunnaki. I'm just using them as a reference.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Because
I'm just, I think
Enlil wanted the earth to get flooded. He was not happy about all the humans and the Nephilim and the hybriding that was going on, and he was ticked about it. So he told Anu, which was his dad, this is what my plan is. I want to do this and this, and Anu was like, "All right, fine, do it."
Yeah,
he allowed it to happen. That's a dick move. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got, all these millions of beings down there, and with souls and all. He's like, "All right, fine, do it." What the hell? So Anu had to, and depending on the challenge you listen to, Anu actually was held accountable for it. Enlil is being held accountable for it, and he's no longer in power, according to some of these other sources, and that Enki is basically returned, and he's actually the rightful heir to the throne, and he's actually coming back to repair and to undo what Enlil has done. So but anyways, we'll get back to the Bible part here, the Kolbrin.
Men are misled and they believe that their sins can be purged by vain rituals. Only active goodness can obliterate the stain of sin. Men approach me in fear. They come to me with servility. They beg forgiveness for their sins and request my help in worldly matters. To sing my praises is their excuse for coming into places made sacred unto me. But they come wanting something, be it only reassurance. With this attitude towards me, do you wonder that I remain mute before their pleas? Bring me no more vain offerings of flesh and blood, for such wastefulness of life is an offense to the God of life. What benefit do I derive from all your feasts or festivals? Give me dedication and effort, that is all I ask. Above all, be true to yourselves, for I abhor the face of hypocrisy.
Above all, be true to yourselves.
Yep. It's a very, very easy way to take that and go, know thyself and start dabbling in the twistedness of what they've done with certain sayings. It's awful, isn't it?
But what it is, to me, that one saying, be true to yourselves, that one statement right there says, if you're true to yourself, you're going to be in line with me. Because knowing that we are part of the source and source is part of us, if we're true to ourselves, we have no desire to harm another.
Well, yeah, absolutely, right? Because inside of us resides a part of God. You
Yeah.
would be able to see that and reflect that out on top of your own personalities, and very powerful statement, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that honestly, I think that was probably the most powerful statement that he's made so far. Above all things, be true to yourself, for he's appalled by the fakeness and the bullshit. And we'll get into that.
The
I'll get into that in a
hypocrisy.
minute.
Oh,
But
I know,
yeah,
right?
and it's like basically all of y'all out there that are being fake, knock the bullshit off, okay? Because the honestly, not only are most men like, and I apologize to say about women, but a lot of women out there are fake as crap. Men are kind of appalled by that. You got your eyelashes that are so long, every time you blink, it's like a 5 mile an hour wind. You got all, you
Well, how
know,
about the makeup where they like are one person starting out and then completely different? I feel bad for men
oh
that date
yeah,
these
you're
days.
literally a clown. You look like you're dressing up like a clown with all that makeup on. It's like, holy cow, put some big red shoes and a red nose on top of you, and you're all set. Just, just stop.
Well, they go from horrifying to gorgeous.
Right. Well, now
Like,
now
wait,
I will say, hold on a second. Now, I'm not saying that some women need makeup. However, I will say that I can understand a little bit to kind of help, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you need to be true to yourself.
oh
If a
yeah,
man is not going to love you for you, then that guy is not worth it. A woman's true beauty is honest, and everyone's heard this saying, real beauty is within. And that is the most true statement you could ever make. I've known women that were not so physically attractive, and yet their souls were absolutely beautiful. Like from the inside, they were the most beautiful person ever. Now, that soul can be
100%.
tainted, and then it can express outwardly, and you notice it. What was that movie? Shallow Hal. You remember the movie Shallow Hal?
Yes.
That's literally what that movie was about. Like she was this big old rotunda, damn kind of a woman, but yet her soul was beautiful, and that's where Gwyneth Paltrow played the part of her soul. And then this other girl that was physically smoking hot, some nurse or whatever, but like inside she was this nasty, ugly looking thing. And it's like it's about the person within. Of the physical body is just a physical avatar. It's just a biological robot, if you will, that our soul is in charge of.
Oh, wait until you get into this later on and it
Oh,
starts talking about the soul, dude. Oh, you have no idea.
I'm gonna find out. So I'm gonna try and listen to it later. But let's get a little bit more into it.
The face now all too familiar when men approach me. Men bring me meat and wine, fine flour and wheaten cakes, thinking I can consume these, or that I have need of such sustenance. I would be far better served were these given to the widow and orphan, to the multitudinous poor who you suffer to exist in your midst. Poverty is man-made, and it is not sufficient for the wealthy to give alms to the poor. Those with power and position, with wealth and plenty, must strike at the roots of poverty. If they fail to do this, then the alms they give have no merit in my sight. Your solemn assemblies, your tedious processions, your long faces and melancholy expressions bring no gladness to my heart. Your burdensome ceremonials and futile offerings of life and food benefit me in no way at all. Men themselves may derive benefit from these, but their hypocrisy when they proclaim they do this in my name is not hidden from me. The reek of your incense smoke rises and disappears into the air, but it comes not unto me, nor do I have need of it. Yet I will not deny you the pleasure of its fragrance, which can bring inner harmony and peace by soothing the spirits of men.
Now, that next little part there, folks, this is a part that ties into the Bible and the Book of Mormon.
Mhm.
Okay,
Are you talking?
he's talking about the hungry, the widows, the homeless. It's created by man, and there's no point of it. And instead of just doing all these, like he was saying, burnt offerings and giving to him, you'd be far better off serving other people. Basically, and this is from the Bible: when thou art in service of thy fellow man, thou art in service of me. That's right from the Bible. And what
Yep.
that's saying is, and even in Hebrews, when the hungry and the homeless, they were allowed to take from the fields the crops that people would sow for the farmers, but it would be things on the ground. So like if they had ears of corn and a corn ear fell on the ground, it was for them. They were allowed to have it. In fact, some farmers actually went, and this is where the good heart is. They wanted to obey the law, and they did want to also help the homeless. Some of the, they would let things fall, and they would actually collect it up for them and have it down at the end of the row for them to come and collect. And some farmers will go out of their way and actually just take the outer edges and just make a big old pile for the hungry and the homeless, and then they would take the stuff on the inside. Some farmers were really good because farmers understand. And the thing is that, I mean, there's several stories of this, not just in the Bible, but historically. I mean, farmers markets. Have you ever been to a farmer's market and had a farmer just say, hey, you know what, you just go on ahead and take that and just let me know if you like it. If you like it, come back again. I mean, I've literally got so much food from a farmer's market for free. It's ridiculous. I've gone to several farmers market my whole life, and I'd go there and I'd be like, oh yeah, I just want to try 2 jalapenos, and say like, oh, you want 2? Here you go. Here's 7. And they'll just give you like, they'll just grab a whole handful. Here you go. Just, $1. You give them $1 and you got like 7 jalapenos or peppers or onions. They always give you a little bit extra. And it's
Yep.
like, folks, if you've got plenty, give. Plain and simple. Because when you are in the service of others, you're also in the service of God, the greater God with a big G, the sacred spirit of all. So now, once again, we moved from the part where I was kind of to now I'm on this part going, you know what? I'm really liking what this guy's saying. And now he's just narrating this position of God, what he's speaking. And that's a great place to be from, because everything he's saying makes sense. From an actual spiritual leader or God or the great spirit that's created our souls. It makes sense. There's nothing we could give him that he could use. Nothing. He created it all. If he created it all, what are we going to do here, this is yours, you can have it? Well, no, duh, I created it, ding dong. If I wanted it, I'd just come and get it. I wouldn't need you to harvest it up for me or slaughter it and cook it. I don't need that. I would just come and get it.
It's the first time I've had a description, like I said, of God that actually matches what's in my heart and the way that I feel God is. And
and it's the same thing with money. Oh my God, we're not going to go down this road very long, folks. We're going to be on this road for just a minute. I cannot stand any church that say, oh, pay your tithing, pay your 10% to God. God don't need no damn money, folks. Period.
yeah, again,
Joel Osteen and all these other dudes, oh my God, all they're doing is just hoarding money and just making themselves freaking fat and rich, and half of them are reptilian anyways.
you wait that gets addressed as well in a fashion that you're just like, this is amazing. I don't know, like, this is my favorite book ever.
I cannot stand, like, it used to, it's always bothered me, this whole 10%. I'm like, why does God need 10% of my money? It's just to show your willingness to
10% for the big guy.
And this and that, whatever. I was like, but he's only asking for 10%. You can't part with 10% for God, who's the creator of all. And it's like, that's not the question. The real question is, why does God need my money? That I need to serve? He doesn't need my money. He created everything. He has no need for money, period.
That's how you get really rich and you do what you want in the world, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the people don't
10%
realize.
for the big guy.
Oh yeah. Well, when people realize, you start following religions and some of the wealthiest religions out there, you'll start seeing how much money their people pay. Yeah. The Mormon faith is actually one of the richest churches in the world, and people have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's not. I don't know.
It's almost infallible. They've got more money than the Vatican.
Yeah, your whole, you get into, they'll start talking about like the Magi, and the Magi, from what I'm gathering from different Indo-European, the Frisians and stuff like that, whoever the Magi were, which I have my suspicions, but they were very awful Pharisees, and what they taught, what they pushed, what they infiltrated, it gives you almost a timeline. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. And one of the places that the Mormon church has the most amount of wealth in, believe it or not, is real estate. The Mormon Church
Oh
owns
yeah.
more farmland than people would care to, more than Bill Gates. I'm not joking, folks. I've been to a lot of these farms because they have their own they have their own welfare system. The church. Now, I will say the church's welfare system is pretty darn bang on. I'm not ever going to shoot that down. The Mormon Church's welfare system is rocking. They've got certain farms that are dedicated just for their welfare system. They grow green beans, potatoes, carrots, and it gets made into stew or just canned carrots and potatoes, and it goes out to the members of the church that are in hard times and that need food assistance. It's pretty bang on, and the only thing that they got to do is they go to these. They'll schedule an event, and a bunch of people, they'll go out to these farms and they'll go in between the rows and they'll just pull weeds. And you'll spend like maybe 2 hours, maybe once every 2 months, and you'll go pull weeds. And that's it. And let's be honest, that's a pretty good deal, and it works, and it works really well. I've done it myself. I've gone to these farms and I've pulled these, and these farms are massive. So I will say that part is pretty good, but the thing I don't like is, like, let's say that I'm a farmer and there's 100 acres over here that I want to purchase, and the purchasing price is, let's just say it's $1 million. Okay. And I'm like, okay, fine. Here's $1 million. I want to come purchase it. Well, the Mormon Church wants to purchase that land as well. They'll put in $1,250,000 and overbid and steal it away from me, a private person who's just trying to feed my family and whatever. They're competing with the common person. I don't agree with that. So they're literally overpaying for all of this land. Why?
To rule the world. That's what they all want. They're all different factions.
Yeah, it's got to make
Different
it. Why are they going to pay a 25% more for the same daggum land, and why are they trying to steal it away from other people? The Mormon Church, especially in any Christian religion, is all about people being free and expressing. And I mean, they've literally competed against other members of their own church and overbid them to take the land. It's like, what are you doing?
A lot of these religions and stuff, they have a lot of information that they don't hand down to us, obviously, right? All this hidden information. And if you kind of put two and two together from the different books that you read, the Bible, the Kolbrin, the Papavu, if you just start putting all these books together, there's commonalities between all of them, right? And one of the big commonalities that I found that is described really well and not so vague in the Kolbrin is the destroyer. There is an entire section of this book that's dedicated to the different times the destroyer has arrived on Earth. And
now, that's a section I'm going to really be interested in. Is it talking about Nemesis or Nibiru?
Well, I'm not gonna give any thought to put it out there. Hopefully, maybe by the time you get around to reading it and we do another episode, we can get more people to read that section and join in with their ideas about it, because you can go in a multitude of ways. But I will tell you, the Baal cycle is very, very tied into the destroyer and the revelation. And
Does it talk about heavenly bodies moving around? Like, come on, you got to give me something.
Yes, absolutely. You're gonna find that the destroyer is a storm, a feminine storm. But I'm not gonna go into any more than that. It's
a feminine storm. Well,
you'll have to read it. It's described differently, and you have to remember the Kolbrins put together, like, I keep telling you, it's like a captain's log. It's not really a Bible. It's more like these people that belonged to this Chaldean sect. They kept captain's log, so log 551 is, so and so about the destroyer and what they learned reading the different texts that were kept by the Chaldeans. So as you go along, you find out more, like I said, about from all these different entries, all condensed into the destroyer and what's coming, because it gives you very, very detailed description.
Is that in this book
yes.
of gleanings, or is it another one?
Oh, it's in there's an actual section in the Kolbrin that's dedicated to the destroyer, and it will give you almost exact details, which I won't spoil it for you, but it's
You
gonna
little
come
turd, I
around
want
again and what
something
kind of
here.
it gives you details of what you're looking for, and not so vague, like, you know, the angel poured out the bowl in the river. This actually gives you a detail of how people act, what to look for, of when the destroyer is coming again. It's very, very specific for what is occurring today in our world. For even if they wrote this book, let's say they wrote this book in the early 2000s and it's not really that old, it's so accurate for how people are acting today in our modern society that it's really freaky to read it and not actually sit back and go, I really think that this destroyer is on its way.
You're talking about the transgenderism or the transhumanism?
All of it. Transgendered, transhumanism, homosexuality, right versus left, abortion. I mean, this hits the level of detail that you'll find that they have in there is just really eerie. It's very eerie. And then you start taking into consideration other events from other Bible, and you start putting of when this cataclysm arrives
Wow.
in every
I'm definitely
the world, according to the Kolbrin, the world's been destroyed at least twice, if not a third time partially.
Well, we know that we have Noah events about
You have
every
the flood.
12,600 years. Yeah, Noah
Yep.
flood. We have those every 12,000 years. That's like a planet destroyer. I mean, that takes about just about every life off the planet.
Well, it even addresses the flood. It'll address the flood. It addresses fire. And then there's a
raining
storm.
fire rain.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed fire rain. It already happened.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
trust me,
Unacceptable.
it hasn't all happened yet, sweetheart. It's coming. Don't you worry.
Well, yeah, we're on the new,
Yeah. There's going to be another cycle of that.
welcoming.
We're going to have comets raining fire from the sky, comets, meteors, asteroids. That's coming.
I don't know. Like I said, you definitely, it's a lot to consume this book. But it's worth going into because each section has, amazing things.
Well, let's say that we don't.
The Egyptian section.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, we never get another asteroid or comet strike or meteor. Okay, we're gonna get a massive flare with a humongous amount of coronal mass ejection that's just gonna bombard the planet, tear down our electromagnetic field, which is weak as hell right now because the poles are consistently moving, and it's gonna wipe out all kind of communications, all kind of power grid systems and everything, not just on the planet, grid down, but all of the satellites that are up in space. And if you know how much junk we have floating in there from satellites, that's going to be your raining fire. When it enters the atmosphere, it'll be burning up. You're still going to get it, Figs. It's still coming. So it might be a shit ton of satellites and space debris and junk coming down from that we've put up there, but it's coming, honey. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, read it. Definitely get to the destroyer part. You'll have a blast in there. It's all
right. So we're gonna play a little bit more on this here, folks.
Nor will I deny you your feasts, if the fetters of wickedness be thereby loosened from your souls, but they do not say they are undertaken for my benefit or glorification. Fasting and denial of bodily appetites may serve useful ends for men, but though you may...
Now, I'm going to tell you right there, that part right there, fasting and denying your body certain desires, basically food. Now, you got to have water, but other pleasures, that gets it along another thing. Kay would just love this part. If she watches this video, she's going to love this. Hi, love. The whole fasting part, denying of the body, what did Jesus or Yeshua do in the Garden of Gethsemane. He went for 40 days and 40 nights without food.
Yes.
He
And,
fasted.
another part that I really like about it is a lot of people preach, you have to fast in order to talk to God. And what my takeaway from this is we're all going to talk to God in a different way. We're all going to find our own way to talk to God. As long as you're harm nothing, and try to figure out what is your connection to God. How can you get the closest you can to listening to God? It doesn't matter what religion you come from, what color you are, what creed you are, what you believe. You believe in the aliens and stuff like that. And I have a different, but it doesn't mean that both you can't talk to the same creator, but on a different path. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I do know that aliens exist, but could they be, I would say aliens, but extraterrestrials? They're just other entities, and most of the time they're from other dimensions.
Yeah, but see, for someone like me, I would use language, right? Like I believe in aliens, but I would typically in a discussion use the word angel or demon,
Right. Exactly.
meaning
But
my
they could
culture
be
where I
they
come
could be meaning
from.
of the same thing. Angel,
But
demon,
it is
good and bad. So yeah, it's just different words for the same entity. We just don't know what beings they are.
correct. Absolutely. None of us have a freaking clue. We're just
Grasping at
here
straws and
to
hoping
tit
that we
for
got the right
tat.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this book to me is teaching people, hey, we might all call it something different, but really in reality, we mean the same thing. So why are we letting these words make us argue when fundamentally we believe in the same God, personality trait wise?
Yeah. The actual great spirit of all. Yes. Same creator of all things. But yet we're
Yeah,
just
which is
choosing different paths. But now
ex-
my whole thing is, what if there's both? Let's say that there's extraterrestrials that are third dimensional, fourth and fifth dimensional. They can go, and the higher dimensional being you are, you can go down in dimensions because you can see the dimensions. For instance, Figs, do you have a piece of paper with some writing on it
uh yes,
right near you? Okay, and you're looking at it right now, right?
correct.
You are a third dimensional being. We know we live in the third dimension. You're looking at a two dimension, a piece of paper with writing on it is two dimensions. So from the third dimensional perspective, you can look and see the second dimension, the first dimension being that piece of paper. So
Yep.
you can see down in dimensions just like other higher beings can see from the fourth and fifth dimension, they can see down to fourth, third, two, and one. So what if there's both? What if you have angels that are from higher dimensions and but they're still different beings, and then you have demons, which are from other dimensions, which are still beings, but the creator
Yes.
created them all. And this is my thing, the creator of all, and this is what you got to really, and sometimes it's hard for people to grasp. The creator of all created the evil too, the whole duality. Because how can you understand the difference between good and bad or light and darkness if both are not presented to you to be able to grasp and understand and choose which one you want to be? He created both of the create, and I say he, but just for
Yeah.
argument's sake, he created it all. It, she, he, whatever.
Yeah, well, I say he because to me, in my interpretation, and I don't care if somebody believes God is a female or God is both or whatever.
I don't
You do
either.
you. For me, God has a male fatherish vibe, and that suits me best. So I refer to God as he and him, and eh,
Right.
so be
Exactly.
it. I don't care.
Yeah. So,
Um,
and that's kind of how I look at it, is more of a he, a father figure kind of thing. But at the same time, is there feminine aspect? Absolutely.
But
Why?
there
Because he
is,
knows the
wait, like
difference.
the Kolbrin also addresses the feminine aspect. Um, it addresses Lilith, that ideology, that thought, that lore. Um,
Lilith. Oh, Adam's
oh
first
yeah.
wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, folks, for those of you who don't know, Eve was not Adam's first wife. That was his second wife. Adam's first wife was Lilith. And there was an argument between Lilith and Adam about, well, according to the Apocrypha, there was an argument on how to have sex. And she didn't like it. She viewed herself as equal with Adam, so there was a lot of conflict. So God said, nope, we're not going to have this. So he banished Lilith, and that's where the serpents and the reptiles and all those dragons and bats and all that kind of stuff come from, is from Lilith. And Eve
Yeah.
was made from Adam, from his rib, to be close to his side and yet submissive to him, which is why, and honestly, if you think about it, most women nowadays, they are submissive to their men, but men are also supposed to be, because she's close to his side, to be protected and loved and cherished and protected, because she's part of him. So there's a lot of truth in a lot of this stuff. It's like,
Oh
very
yeah. Well, I
interesting.
mean, and the Kolbrin gets into that too. The way that they speak of men and women and their roles and the honor and respect towards each other. I mean, it's fabulous. They really tolerated, you were punished if you did, not for minimal crimes. If you harmed the goods of your neighbor, you were expected to pay it back and then some, but not unreasonable amounts. Now you start getting into offenders, sexual offenders, and the punishments were much greater. And
Oh yeah, well, it
uh,
should be.
they should be absolutely. They didn't even. I will say for the people that are easily offended, they these are old texts. Their homosexuality is not viewed very well in this, and they didn't stone them, didn't kill them, but they were also ostracized from society. They weren't allowed to have children. They weren't allowed to do you the beginning and the end stayed with them in regards to their personalities. Um, it's very intriguing, um, to look back into the way that it is described.
Right. Well, as far as like those that do heinous sexual offenses against children, especially now, this is my opinion, folks. Just kill them.
I agree.
Just put a bullet. Just
We'll
honestly,
see here.
I'm literally
Talk about the law.
I've been at one in my own viewpoint. Listen, if you know that an individual has harmed a child in any kind of devious way like that, literally put them in front of me. I'll pull the trigger and I'll sleep really well at night. I don't care if there's 5,000 and I got 5,000 pull the trigger on that day. I'm gonna pull the trigger 5,000 times. I'm gonna sleep like a baby that night. Period.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
and I don't.
those individuals, you know what? It's between them and their creator. For the creator to judge them, I'll just arrange the meeting. That's
Yeah.
it. Now, is that a bad of me? No. Have I always felt that way? Yes. Am I ever going to change it? Probably not. But I do want to give a little, when we're talking about relationship part, about, giving back and forth between men and women. This is something that I've tried to live by my entire life. And we've all heard this saying that relationships are 50-50. You've heard that before, right?
Yes.
Let me tell y'all something, folks. That is the worst advice you could ever give. And I'm going to explain why. If I'm only given 50% into a relationship and that person's only given 50%, there's half of me I'm not giving and half of her she's not giving. You give 100% into the relationship and she gives 100% into the relationship, and then it works. Because even if you can't add my 50 and her 50 to equal 100, because it's still only 50%, it's basically half-assing a relationship. You're only putting half your ass in the relationship instead of all of it. You give your all, she gives her all, and everything will work. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the excerpts from the Kolbrin that I love. Love your wife wholly, according to the dictates of your own heart, and rightly according to the statutes of men. Fill her stomach and clothe her back. Provide her with oil for anointing her hair and her adornment. Keep her contented and give her no cause for alarm or unrest. Be gentle with her, for she is a profitable field for your efforts. Enter not into dispute with her, for women are gentle and withdraw their hearts before force. If you are harsh, she will return into herself. Make her home a joyful place.
Now, here's it. That is wonderful. And one of the things that I will tell you about women that I've noticed is women are multipliers. Not just for giving children,
Yep.
but they multiply almost everything they touch. Men, I'm telling you, listen to this. If you give a woman a house, she's going to make it a home. You give her ingredients, she's going to make a meal. You give her love, what do you think you're going to get? An abundance of love. Now, women, on the other hand, this is something for you to take in consideration. If you are a man's peace, he will run to you every single day. If you are his war, he will stay away from you as long as possible. Which do you want?
100%.
Exactly. So that's why a man should give 100% of himself to his woman, and his woman should give 100% of herself to him, and everything works out in the most joyful and blissful way that it possibly can. So,
Absolutely.
with that being said, let's do this last little bit here, and then we're going to end off for today.
They deceive yourselves regarding their intent. Do not try to deceive me by misstating their purpose. I have no desire to repress the joy and exuberance welling up in the hearts of men. Far rather would I prefer that such humanizing emotions be cultivated. Therefore, pray if your prayer serves its true purpose, which is to harmonize your spirit with mine so communication becomes possible. Keep your festivals and feasts if they serve their purpose, which is to inspire and refine your spirit. Do all that elevates your spirit and develops your soul. That is the true purpose of life. Do all that is good for you. Nothing wholly beneficial is denied you. But do not declare that in doing so you confer benefit upon me. I am the God above and beyond all. I do not deny you your rituals and ceremonies. Worship me if you will, as you will, but bear in mind that this cannot substitute for your obligations. Ritual and worship cannot be an adjustment or payment for the things you have failed to do, or be an apology for your own shortcomings. Neither do they compensate for iniquities against your fellow men. If you attach importance to ritual and ceremony, let it be in proper proportion, and never let them dull your conscience against deeds of wickedness or usury and injustice. Never let your duty and obligations be neglected because you worship me diligently, following a formalized ritual and ceremony. Let this not become an excuse for failing to share your bread with the hungry or for neglecting the needs of the destitute or weak. I am not deceived. A life is dedicated to me is not one preoccupied with worship. That is more the life of a coward trembling before the unknown. He who dedicates my life to me gives shelter to the homeless and succors those in distress. But even these are not in ultimate goodness, for they are passively accepted. The ultimate in goodness is to actively combat all the root causes of evil. Those who are my true followers live a life of service and goodness. They live in harmony with their neighbors, harm none, and do not shirk the burdens and obligations of earthly existence.
Now, we're going to end that part right there. Now, what I got from that, and honestly, this is something that part of the Mormon church that they actually talk about. One of their strong points. There are so many people, and there's not a single person listening to my voice right now that doesn't know somebody that goes to church on Sunday. Oh, praise the Lord, praise Jesus, and all that kind of crap. And then on Monday morning or Monday evening, they're down at the bar with their friends, smoking, drinking, and smacking some girl on the butt, trying to get some poontang. You're not drawing close to our Creator with your heart. You're just doing it with your mouth. That's all vain. It's all vanity. You don't do that. You draw with your heart, not just, oh, I did this, I jumped and I praised and I did all this stuff for Jesus or for God or what. No, he don't give a crap about that. He's watching you. He's watching what you're doing. You got to do it in your heart.
There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing you can hide. There's nothing you can hide, and you can't cover it up with vain rituals and, and just going in and, oh, I sinned and be absolved. I'm not even gonna go there right now, but I agree. I know. I'm sorry. This is very moving stuff for me.
It is.
And very
I'm actually digging it, Figs. I'm not gonna lie. I was listening to. I probably got about an hour out of the first book, and then I got this part here that you would do. So I started with the beginning part, so I got about 15 minutes of that, and then you told me to move forward. So I moved forward to this part of the voice of God, and I'm like, you know what?
Well, now you got to go back and start at the beginning because after you got to listen to the at the end. This is how I would recommend people do it. I would listen to like the first 15 minutes, like you said, the introduction, and then I read to the Book of Gleanings and listen to the voice of God. And when you get to the end of that, start back over at the very beginning, listen to the intro again, and then listen to the creations and keep in mind the different Bibles and stuff that you've read over the years as you're listening to this, because way when you get into about halfway through the book of creation and you listen to essentially Revelation being read back to you, it is the most insane way to start the book is, and I
Oh,
guess it gives you the most context right away.
yeah. Now, I'll be honest. Now I'm glad that this is having an effect in that way. Now, I will tell you that, and I know I've mentioned this to you, and I think I've sent it to you. The Book of Melchizedek.
Yes.
Have you read it yet?
And I guess
Yes or no question, Figs. Have you read it yet?
yes, I have. And
The history of humanity, when it's talking about the Creator and how he literally went into depression and then came out of it and created light and life and Adam and Eve and had unconditional love for them and protected them like they were his little children, like that, the whole ordeal of that actually reached me right to my core. Like I wept for a while when I was reading it, and I'd never felt so close to my Creator than when I was reading that particular section of it. And that night, I was in such a place of gratitude and thankfulness. That's on that night is when I was visited by my grandfather. I mean, I don't mean I had a dream. I mean, he visited me.
yeah.
I was in between sleep, between, actual sleep and awake. And he was like, it's like I was standing in front of a wall and there was a big window there, but there's no window pane. It was just this big window, no window pane. I could literally reach through and I could grab him and touch him if I wanted to, but I knew I was not allowed to, if that makes sense.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he and I had the most wonderful, heartfelt conversation I'd ever had with him. And he gave me messages to give to my dad and was telling me how proud he was of me and my awakening and everything, and how he was honored to be my grandfather. And I'm like, what? No, I'm honored to be your grandson. You taught me so much. It was the most spiritually enlightening thing I've ever had happen to me.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I mean, I know what you're.
So from that, so you can kind of see where that part actually kind of relates to this a lot in some ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. So the way that you spoke about the Book of Melchizedek for you, the emotional impact you had that is the emotional impact that Kolbrin had on me. There were things that I understood after reading it. Okay, so the first two parts of the book, it's very different, and you can see where the book changes and it kind of turns more into less words of God and more captain's log 562 kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
But that first beginning part where actually feels to me like actual words from God, insanely moving. I cried. I felt like I had like the most horrible breakup of my lifetime after I got through these. And you didn't realize what you had until it was gone kind of a vibe. And after I moved past this mourning phase where I was really sad, I was so very sad and ashamed of my behavior. Nothing that they tell you in the world today. It was things that made me retreat into my own brain and realized, God, that my idea of God versus what they tell us in this world are so distinctly different. And somebody actually wrote about God the way that he feels to me, this loving, caring
So
father.
so for a moment, you went through the dark night of your own soul.
I did. I felt so sad that I had neglected God for so long in my life because I didn't believe the world's version of him.
Yeah.
And to hear him talk to me through this book and hear him described in a way that really fits with my heart and soul, the sadness of how I have been my life and neglecting him, even though he's been there this whole time, is just
Well, it wasn't just a
insane.
neglection of him, it was a neglection of yourself.
Oh, absolutely, right? It's a
Yeah.
neglection of myself,
Yeah. And
and my own
I've
soul.
gone through two of those. And actually at one point it was a pretty bad mine were pretty bad. Like and I don't talk about this much, but I'll talk about it openly now. Like there was 2 different times I actually almost took my own life.
Yep.
I was so done with this world and so done with, because I'd gone through so much. It's like at one point, I literally, I mean, you go through a heartbreak. People go through heartbreaks, but I was at such a point where like it felt like my soul had torn, and the very essence that was my soul, that was my soul, was just like pouring out on the ground. It's like I literally felt like my soul, body, spirit, everything was just dying. And that's a dark place. And for those that have ever, and I used to cast hard judgment on people that have actually committed suicide, and now that I've been at that point where I almost have twice, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sit there and cast judgment anymore. And I feel bad for ever casting it, because I've been down that dark night of the soul and I get it now. But I'm glad that I didn't at the same time, even though I know I'm going to have struggles. It's like, whatever, my purpose isn't done yet. Whatever my purpose was for this incarnation here, I'm going to try and see it through. But I can totally understand why people, because the pain and agony it's immense, folks. It's immense, but you can push through it. So if anyone is ever having thoughts of that, don't do it. You're just going through the dark night of your soul. You will come out on the other side. Okay, I've done it. Luckily, at one point, I gave my pistol to somebody and said, "Hey, just hold on to this for me until I come back." And they're like, "What?" I was like, "Just hold on to it." So, which was pretty fortunate when I started feeling it the first time, and then after I went through my second one, and I was like, "Okay, I'm good." I went and got it back, and I was fine. Didn't tell them why, because then they, of course, they may not have given it back. They'd be like, "Wait a minute, are you sure?" You know.
Right.
But yeah, just understand that it's a dark night of your soul that you're going through. And if anyone at any time that's listening to my voice, if you're ever having that struggle, reach me on Telegram, Jacob of Ephraim. Reach out to me. I will talk to you. I don't care day or night. I will talk to you to help you through it, because I don't want to lose a single person that I know that I reach that I could have prevented it just by talking to them and helping them through it. Just because I love you. Male or female, I don't care. I love you. You're my brother. You're my sister. Just like Figs. I've never put my eyeballs on her, never put my arms around her, give her a hug as my sister, but she is my sister, and I love her like she is my sister.
Cause yeah, right back at you.
Well, I hope you don't love me like a sister. I'm a dude.
Okay, well, brother.
There we go. So anyways, folks, just remember that you're loved. No, above and beyond all things, you are loved, and we love you.
Yeah, and you're never alone.
Never. We're all going through this together. Sometimes we're separate, but we're going through it together, and we're here for you. So remember to keep your eyes open, no fear, and love is the only way forward.